Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking to you about my problem of practice. My problem of practice is writing in upper level mathematics curriculums. So this idea was something that has become more apparent to me and my department throughout the course of this school year. We were realizing more and more that students aren't discussing their math accurately and representing what they're doing with their own words. We've taken to a new curriculum this year called Integrated Mathematics Program and have found that the textbooks have little, if any, traditional math problems, so to speak. If you were to open the textbook, what you would see are more words than numbers. The format's really similar to more of an English textbook than a math textbook, and the problems are integrated through storytelling. As a result of this, both students and teachers were really challenged this year jumping in and getting started on this new curriculum. But we finished and completed our first year with the books, and we followed it pretty closely just to get a feel for what the curriculum was and had to offer. What we realized, though, is as much as text was in this curriculum, there was really a limit to what responses that the students were being asked of. The opportunity for extended responses or discussions about the math was missing from all of our units. I'll be frank and say that a huge piece of our testing is extended responses now. Students just felt unprepared for this, and really we didn't give them a lot of practice in writing their math ideas. So they felt unsuccessful. We felt unsuccessful to them. And nowadays, there's so much research behind this idea of writing to enhance understanding or writing to remember, which is really ultimately where this problem of practice idea came about. So this problem of practice is an assignment that was designed to enhance our current middle and high school mathematics curriculums by integrating more writing, incorporating specifically intentional talk, writing expressions, and through the use of mathematical journals to promote cross-curricular work will be intertwined into our 6th grade through 12th grade mathematical curriculums currently used. The goal of this is to have students and teachers routinely talking and writing about math in greater detail, just to further student understanding of both this language arts and this mathematical concepts. In order to establish a place to start, I sent an inquiry to my teachers in middle and high school, asking them to keep track of their discussions, student explanations in writing, and student extended writing pieces over 10 class periods. These were my results. As you can see, we have 7 math teachers in our department, and I was really thankful to get the data from them. There are plenty of discussions that are happening and occurring in the classroom, but there's still a limited amount of writing opportunities. This is something that I had suspected going in and asking for this data, especially reflecting on how my own year went. I had to be very deliberate when I asked my students to do writing pieces. It was something that I had pushback from my students to begin with, and to be quite honest, I had throughout the entire school year. But I thought that there might be some value in that activity, and I wanted to integrate more writing as much as possible. So I get this baseline data. What does it mean? Well, being that math teacher that I am, I do like to use this data to come up with statistics to show. From the baseline data, students had a mathematical discussion 55 out of 70 total class periods. The 70 class periods are coming from 7 teachers times 10 math periods that they collected data from. As a result of this translates into students collectively talking about their math 79% of the time, which I think is a high number. This is a good thing. As follows, students explaining their work and not using numbers or math symbols, but words and sentences, has only occurred 27 times over the total 70 class periods. So doing the math with this translates to about 39% of the time. For extended writing pieces, 18 times out of the 70 class periods were extended writing pieces that were incorporated either in class or as a homework assignment. And you can see 26% of the time is how much we were really asking our students to show and create thought and support behind their writing. This is absurd to me. This is crazy. The fact that students are not writing more was shocking, and kind of a real awakening as to the need for this change. So this really led to me finding some research to support my idea that writing needs to have a place in the math curriculum. Language is everywhere. In schools, writing is our emphasis. People believe that there's so much growth in cognitive skills that can be gained from this experience. So my question becomes, why then is writing not an essential part of every middle school and high school level curriculum? According to David Bugley, who is a researcher who looked for the connection between language and learning and math, states that writing supports mathematical reasoning and problem solving. So instead of just looking at these two school subjects separately, what he did was he began to see the importance of intertwining these with one another. There's more evidence that supports when students are writing, students are more involved in their learning and have a higher rate of comprehension. This just, and it quotes, makes writing seem almost like a magical formula to improve learning, opposed to isolating it solely into just its language arts curriculum. When we can integrate these two skills, it's obvious that students are going to be more clear and explicit in both their discussions and their writing pieces. Explicit work requires articulate thoughts. Just through the 4 principles of intentional talk, students will create dialogue that directs students to focus their attention on becoming involved in mathematical thinking. So this intentional talk came about through one of the new math teachers who was a huge proponent of this and introduced the concept to some of us in our department. I think that could attest to why we had some teachers integrating much more discussion, as you could have saw on the baseline data. This ability to put emphasis, though, on a discussion model with a clear purpose, while still being able to get students to know how to share their ideas at any entry level, is exactly what we want and what intentional talk provides to us. The ability to understand your own thinking is the ability to be metacognitive. Schools are constantly striving to be able to use higher level thinking and academic awareness. So writing in mathematics will yield this skill. Incorporating effective writing strategies into our lesson plans and classroom activities can further develop metacognitive abilities, but also help to foster communication, connection, and reasoning skills. These are all skills that we want our students to have. We want them to be 21st century learners, and giving them this platform in order to do that just makes the most sense to me. The form of writing should be different, though. We want students to be able to write in all different multitudes of ways. So using reflective journaling, reflective writing or journaling or summarizations, procedures, exit tickets, homework. We want it typed. We want it in logs. We want it online. We just want to be integrating this as much as we can. Although it's true that integrating writing into mathematics curriculum will take time, and it will take practice from both the teachers and the students, the deeper learning and understanding that results from it will be well worth the time spent. We want to support our students. We want them to be the best that we can, and we've got to be willing to grow to get there as well. So this idea of integrating our writing and math together and using that intentional talk in our discussions to be explicit about this is really where this whole action plan came to be. The action plan was developed using the 6 stages of systematic school improvement, which was outlined by the Breaking Rules framework. And this framework was found in Eric Scheninger's book, Digital Leadership. The National Association of Secondary School Principals acknowledged that by identifying what already works and articulating what our school needs to be the best, the school can create its own individualized plan to create success. They nodded to the fact that this is a continuous cycle, and you can see that as it being a circle, but the need to continuously go back and observe and explore is always looking for more improvement. So the very first stage that we have and that I started with was gathering and analyzing data to determine our priorities. This data came from the raw data that I collected from my peers in the math department, in addition to making sure that we had what we needed. So I wanted to look at this data, and I analyzed it originally to make sure that we could afford to put more writing into this. Research supports that students will have more awareness to their learning when we're deliberately articulating and writing about math, and that metacognition will ideally be that catalyst for more student engagement and growth. Performance Plus is something that we've done at our school for many years. So those pre-test scores at the beginning of the year, of next school year, will serve as the additional baseline to compare and analyze with those Performance Plus post-test scores, at the culmination of our year. That integration of more writing and deliberate talking in math can hopefully translate into more engaged students, which will be reflective in those scores. So for our second stage, we had exploring possible solutions. So the research that I've done and the information I found will be a huge advantage when creating our integration of writing pieces. Different articles supported and offered different statistics of different groups to analyze, and I know my department will be definitely taking advantage of those data points and projecting different ideas from there. I also prompted my department that our curriculum days this summer will be spent devoting this integration of writing and intentional talk into our curriculum. So I asked my colleagues to do some research on their own. I wanted them to be equal proponents and equal players in this action plan, and so giving them that platform to come prepared and ready to go, I thought was something that was important for everyone's success and buy-in to our action plan. So step 3 was partially easy. The readiness of all my teachers are apparent. They are go-getters that want to do what's best for the students. They are teachers that go above and beyond to make their lessons engaging and fun and create all these different manipulatives for their class. The work ethic and community that we've built and developed over the course of this year and in our department meetings really made it clear that this is something that I think we can tackle together. The data speaks to the effectiveness in its implementing the ideas, and my colleagues' tenacities will ensure that we can continue to get this done. In terms of the capacity, I've met with my assistant headmaster and discussed the importance of having more time in math. Our current school day offers twice as much ELA time as math, and 2/3 the seat time that math has in our competitive public schools. So the goal of meeting with my administrator was to hopefully adjust the schedule for more math time that makes us competitive with our schools around us. I had proposed taking 1/4 of our ELA minutes and giving them to the math teachers in the math classes in hopes of not making a domino of scheduling adjustments. I don't know what the projection of next year's school course and layout will be. So we've talked about different options and potentially are going to use Schoology or Khan Academy, maybe other discussion board platforms that we could maybe integrate with our digital outside of class time. But these ideas, paired with adjustments in assignments and extensions in our own explanations and discussions, can hopefully build that capacity that we need to tackle this action plan.